The Lord be with you on this beautiful June day as we continue our reflections upon the way in which we have been drawn into the life of the Trinity. Just having celebrated the Feast of the Most Holy Trinity on Sunday, I thought it would be helpful for us to take an overview of what it means to be a member of the church and how we are to grow in our understanding of the church. Many of you remember when you were children of studying the Baltimore Catechism. And usually when we hear the word catechism, we think of questions and answers. That catechism was written back in 1885, and it's called the Baltimore Catechism because it came out of the Plenary Council of American Bishops in Baltimore. And they wanted to have a catechism for the New World, for the United States. That catechism lasted well into the 60s before changes in religious formation began to take place. On the scene after the Vatican Council comes the Catholic Catechism. Now this is much thicker than the little Baltimore II Catechism that you had when you were a child. The Catechism of the Catholic Church surfaced as a way of putting into one volume how the church had come to understand itself, especially following the Second Vatican Council. In 1985, which was the 20th anniversary of the conclusion of the council, a synod was held in Rome to discuss the ways in which theology and catechesis, that is, the teachings of the church, can be put into one volume, can be made available not only to adults but to children, and where we could find in one place what it is that we hold as valuable and is at the heart of our teachings in the church. Some will argue that why do we need a catechism when we have the Bible? Well, the Bible is the source of all of our understanding of who Christ is. The Catechism explores theologians and church fathers that helps us elaborate and understand the ongoing teaching of the church. The church is a dynamic reality. The church is a reality that continues to teach even to this day, for there are issues that we face that were not faced in biblical times. And in this 21st century especially, we are invited to keep exploring the mystery of the faith. We can't begin to understand it all. It was John Paul II who confirmed this Catechism of the Catholic Church, which was then, as I say, published in 1992, which was the 30th anniversary of the Council. There were a number of theologians, church fathers, catechists, theologians, all of whom had an influence in drafting and writing this catechism. Already it's in a second edition because there were further issues that have surfaced that the church felt was necessary to include in its catechism. Today I want to give you a brief overview of what to expect if you were going to pick up this rather lengthy volume of the Catechism. I want to point out, if you're younger, there is a youth edition for the Catechism. It's called UCAT, You the Catechism. And it's written for teens to help them understand the heavy doctrine of the faith. This book is not to be used in a classroom. It's more a source book for all of those who prepare educational opportunities for children. Very briefly, the Catholic Catechism speaks of the four pillars of the Catholic faith. The first is our profession of faith, which we see as the Apostles' Creed, which we proclaim when we pray the Rosary. It's expanded a bit when we get to the Nicene Creed, which we use on Sundays. The first part of the book, the first pillar, is what is the doctrine, what is the teaching that we have of Jesus regarding who he is who the Trinity is, how God is in relationship with us, with the church. The second book, the second pillar, is the celebration of the Christian mystery, or the sacred liturgy. It's all about the life of the sacraments, how we encounter this God who has spoken, this God who reveals himself, this God who has made himself known as Father, Son, and Spirit. How do we connect with him? This second pillar of the church speaks of the sacraments, the ways in which we have an intimate connection with the God who has revealed himself. But a doctrine and even the celebration of church and Mass and the sacraments does not contain the whole of who we are as Christians. There is the moral life. How do I live my day-to-day Christian life unless I am grounded in good teachings on the moral life? And of course, for Catholics and Jews as well, we turn to the Ten Commandments, which we look at in this third pillar of the church. How do I live in daily life the teachings of Christ? It explores as well the Beatitudes and the ways in which we put the teachings of Jesus into practice. And all of this, the profession of faith, the sacraments, the life of the Christian, all of this finds its strength in our life of prayer. And so the final pillar of the church, perhaps the foundation of them all, is this conviction that we have that we are drawn into a community of faith, that we are drawn into a life of prayer with God who is Father, Son, and Spirit. This I give you as a general introduction to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, and in subsequent days I will speak about each of these four pillars and how we can begin to explore more deeply what it means to be a Catholic. May God bless you and your loved ones as we explore the mysteries of our faith.